Hello, BookTube. Well, as you can see from the title of this video, this is an announcement video for a reading event that's happening here on BookTube in May that I'm taking part in along with Jason at Old Blues Chapter and Verse and Felicia at Little Prairie Library, called Maybe Midrash, in which we explore, as Jason puts it, the wonders, the possibilities that are opened up when authors deal with religion. I'll leave a link to Jason's announcement video. When I'm making, at the time that I'm making this video, I hadn't seen whether or not Felicia had made an announcement video, but if she has, I will leave a link to that as well. And in Jason's video, he mentions a few important things that are worth underscoring again, in case you hadn't seen it, or even if you had. One of them being that this is not an event designed to convert or dissuade anyone. This is not about the veracity of religion or the personal element of it, which is typified by the fact that you have two different denomination Christians as two of your hosts and one atheist. So instead, it is an exploration of the potentialities that are opened up by the subject of religion when authors deal with them. And to participate in this, Jason mentions two things, and I want to stress them as well. Number one is you want to read a work of literary fiction. I have tried my best to wean Jason and Kelly off of literary fiction without success so far, but that's okay, because literary fiction has made, there's a vast treasure trove of great stuff that has resulted from authors dealing with religion in fictional terms. So you have to read, in the course of May, a work of literary fiction that deals with religion. It doesn't have to be a retelling. It can be that a character in the book is intensely religious, or more than one. And it also doesn't have to be, well, anyway, the second thing is in the month is to read a work of nonfiction that deals with religion. And again, it does not have to be exhortation. It can be, Jason mentions The God Delusion by Richard Dawkins, which it very much deals with religion. And I want to announce what that's one thing to do for this event, is to read one work of fiction and one work of nonfiction dealing with religion. And then the second thing is to make sure you use the hashtag Maybe Midrash so that Jason can find you, so that I can find you. He wants to make a playlist. I think that's a great idea, because you might not subscribe to everybody who responds to this, and you might not catch all the videos even if you do. A playlist makes that easy. And I wanted to show you what I will be doing in the month of May, in the first 2 weeks of May, for the fiction that I'll be dealing with. I'm going to do actually a read-along for any of you who are interested, not just discussing the book, but reading along with it. So the book is Joseph Heller's novel, God Knows, which is a novelization with great literary liberties taken of the story of King David. And what I want to do is do a read-along of the first half for the first 2 weeks. So this is about, what is this, about 500 pages? No, about 350 pages. So I don't actually know what that is. 175? So 175 pages, the first 175 pages for the second weekend in May. And then the next 175, or the first 175 pages for the first weekend in May. So download a copy of this book, or pull it off your shelf if you have one, and read the first 175 pages thereabouts for the first weekend in May. And then we'll discuss the first half of this book on that weekend in May, that Sunday in May. And then for the second Sunday in May, read the rest of it, finish the book. And we'll finish up by talking about the second half of it for May. So that is the literary fiction that I will be doing, which is Judaism. I'm going to stick to the Judeo-Christian tradition. There are only two religions that I know better than the Judeo-Christian, than Judaism and Christianity. And both of those two religions that I know better are no longer extant. They have aged into mythology. Just as all the current religions in the world will do one day. So I'm going to stick to the Judeo-Christian tradition, and for the second half of Maybe Midrash, I'm going to move to a work of nonfiction, and it's going to be this: The Day the Revolution Began by N.T. Wright. Some of you will know he's written a great many books about religion. I have read all of them, including a few that are monstrously long. he has a penchant for monstrously long books. I love it. I can't get enough of this author. But this is one of the most recent popular books that he's done. He tends to the monster long works of theology tend to be not so much the type of thing that's in bookstores. That's just, well, that was once upon a time piled up in bookstores. Whereas this was a mainstream press attempt at addressed to a mainstream audience, as so many of his really good books have done, including Simply Christian, the one that's mentioned on the cover, but lots of others too. So for the third week in May, I'm going to talk about the first half of this book, and then the last week in May I'll finish up and talk about this book just in general. Unless I get the impression that not a lot of you have access to this or are reading nonfiction, in which case I'll just discuss this book in one video at the end of May. But one way or another, this I will be rereading in the month of May. I'll be glad to do it. I haven't reread this in years. So those are my two books, God Knows and The Day the Revolution Began, for maybe Midrash. And I'm hoping that you all, those of you who have some sort of active participation in religion or interest in it, even if you're an atheist, will join in, because there's a lot of great stuff out there. And BookTube itself is home to a great many believers of all kinds. So, as Jason points out in his video, you can range all across the field of religions of any kind, and works of inspiration, works of exegesis about those works, or fictional treatments of those things. They played a part. Some variation on that formula has played a part in all of our lives. So I think it's a great idea. I'm looking forward to what everybody does. And I will leave links to everything pertinent down below. So I will see you then. Thank you, BookTube.